If your replacement screen doesn't come with the metal chassis, or you need to replace your home key ribbon flex, then we need to separate the glass screen from the metal frame. To do this, you might need to use a sucker tool of some kind. This is from a phone windscreen mount, or you could use a sat-nav one, a plastic separation tool, and a nice thin blade to separate the glass from the frame. You also need a heat source of some kind. This is a hot air paint stripper. You could use a fan heater or maybe a hairdryer. So what we need to do is get this screen and frame nice and hot, and then using the thin blade gently separate the glass from the frame. So switch on your heat source and put some gloves on so you don't burn your hands. The temperature we're looking for is around about 85 degrees C. This seems to be about right to soften the adhesive. So keep it in the hot air stream for a few minutes, get it nice and hot. Then using the nice thin blade, start gently separating the glass from the frame. If you're planning on keeping the glass screen, you need to be very careful as the glass is very thin on the edges. So don't force the knife in, just gently run it along. And I'm keeping a little bit of pressure on the sucker tool, so it's trying to lift the screen away from the frame. So try not to rush this stage. Just take your time to separate the double-sided adhesive between the screen and the frame. So I'm just going to move the sucker tool down to about halfway and keep a gentle pressure to try and lift the screen away from the frame. So now I'm going to use the plastic knife. This will help avoid damaging the flex cables or marking the back edge of the screen. So as long as you keep the screen and the frame nice and hot, this adhesive will very slowly release and let you separate the frame from the glass. So now the top half is separated, you can slide your knife down towards the home keys and gently rock the screen and the frame side to side to help separate the adhesive. So we're almost there now. Watch out for the ribbon flex connectors. This one's stuck onto the double-sided tape on the chassis. So to help separate this, you can use a small pair of scissors to separate the tape from the ribbon connector. Be careful not to cut the ribbon connector. I caught the edge of it, but it didn't do any harm, didn't stop it from working. Now we're down towards the home and touch key ribbon. Try and keep the screen nice and hot so the adhesive is soft and we can separate the home key flex from the screen without damage. If you're replacing the home key flex, then don't worry too much about this stage. If you're planning on reusing the home key flex, then just be very careful at this stage. So this white adhesive is a light guide for the LED backlights. Now carefully move the home key flex away from the screen. And once you've got that separated, lift off the adhesive light guide. This just reflects the light back from the LED that lights the keys up. And put this aside somewhere. I'll show you where that goes a little bit later. And then remove the light guide on this side. If you're planning on using the screen again, be careful with a knife that you don't scratch the black painted surface on the back of the screen, as you can see it from the front. Then put that aside. And now we can finally separate the screen from the frame. If you're replacing the home key flex, or you need to reuse the existing one, we need to remove it from the metal frame. Just carefully peel it off from the side. Then the home key switch, double-sided tape holding it on. And once you've done that, come round to the other side and gently lift that up, and then you can remove that from the metal chassis. So if any of the double-sided tape has partially come away, try and smooth it out so there's no creases or wrinkles in it. And if you have any trouble with it, you can use a sharp knife or a pair of scissors to cut it off. If you find you're unable to reuse this double-sided tape, then any good quality double tape should work nicely. So now we need to place this existing double tape back into place. Try and place it back onto the frame. And make sure there's no creases in the tape. That would stop the screen from going back down flat. Try and make sure it's flush with the edge of the frame. And just check that all the way around the edge. And if you find this double tape has lost its stickiness, then you need to replace it with good quality double-sided tape. Now if you're reusing the screen again, make sure that any of the double tape is sitting down nice and flat. If you need to replace the speaker grill, you can just push that through. That'll come out nice and easy, and you can transfer that over to your new screen. So make sure that adhesive is sitting down nice and flat. And just check around the edges to make sure that the adhesive is sitting down nice and flush. And coming back to the metal frame, we need to remove this LED light guide for the home key. Put that aside for a minute, and just make sure this adhesive is sitting down nice and flush. If you're unable to reuse this double-sided adhesive, it won't do any harm to leave it off, or you could replace it with new tape, which is easy to find online. Coming back to our home key ribbon flex. This is the home button and the touch keys. And if we come over to the back, this is the LED backlight on both sides. Now we need to reassemble this flex, so take the LED light diffuser and place it so the white side is towards the LED and the small hole lines up in the flex cable. So once you've lined it up, give it a gentle push down into place, and then take the other light diffuser and place that so the small hole lines up in the ribbon cable. And now take the white LED light guide and place that so that it lines up with the small hole in the ribbon cable. And then once you've got that lined up with the white square, just come around to the other side and fold that down and give that a gentle squeeze. So finally take the last light guide and again line up that small hole and try and get it nice and central. And once you're happy that's lined up, again come round to the back and fold that over. Give that a gentle squeeze. If you are replacing the screen and your new one doesn't come with the S Pen flex connector here, then we need to exchange it over to your new screen. So on your old screen, lift up the flex assembly if it's not already open, and we need to use heat to remove this flex assembly from your old screen. So get it nice and hot to soften the double-sided adhesive and gently peel away this printed circuit from your old screen. Try not to bend the circuit board too much, and again take your time to allow the adhesive to soften. If you buy a replacement screen with the metal frame, then you won't need to worry about this, as it comes with the S Pen mat already installed. So keep it nice and hot and take your time. If you rush, it tends to peel the foam away from the old screen, as you can see in the top corner here. So hopefully, if it's been hot enough, you'll have enough double-sided adhesive showing to stick onto your new screen. Take your replacement screen and line that up in the corner and get it as straight as you can down the sides. And once you're happy that that's nice and straight, you can push all the air bubbles out and make sure that's stuck down nicely. So once you're happy that's sitting down nicely, you can bring the display board back down and just gently push that down onto its double-sided tape. If it's a new screen, you may have to remove some protective film underneath. Now we can replace the home key ribbon flex. Just place that through the chassis from the front. And make sure the keys sit down nice and flat into the little recess. So once you're happy that's sitting down nicely, come round to the other side and just gently bring that ribbon down. Just give that a gentle push down. Now we can replace the home key button. This will only go in this way round. Make sure those little pins line up both sides and the button's working okay. Now carefully bring your new screen down towards the frame, putting your S Pen ribbon connector and your display screen connector through the chassis. Make sure it's lined up and the home key comes through okay. Just carefully check to make sure that the edges are lined up. And before you push it fully down, make sure the ribbon cables are not trapped and that the home key button is working okay. Once you're satisfied that's okay, then you can give it a good push and make sure it's stuck down nicely. Once you've done that, you can reassemble from this stage by following the link in the description or the one at the top of this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give it a thumbs up, and I'll do my best to make some more.